where TBR piles go to multiply. Hey there, book lovers, and welcome to Jeny and the Bets Talk Books. We're Jeny and Betsy, your literary enablers. Every month, we're diving into amazing reads, swapping recommendations, and basically giving you permission to add just one more book to that teetering stack on your nightstand.
We're back for our second episode of Jeny and the Bets Talk Books. And I think we decided that thrillers would be a very popular category because a lot of people read those. But as we were talking before we started recording, we didn't really talk about what thrillers exactly were because there's a lot of different kinds.
Correct. It's kind of a genre bender in the thrillers.
I did a little research into the history of thrillers and learned that the first one, the 1921 novel The Spy by James Fenimore Cooper, was about a spy operating behind enemy lines during the Revolutionary War. And then also a book called Riddle of the Sands in 1903 by Erskine Childers. And then I guess the first modern detective novel, Edgar Allan Poe, Murders in Rue Morgue. Yeah, are you familiar with that one?
I am.
You are? Okay.
I am.
And then I also found Moonstone. And I read this as an English major. Have you ever read Moonstone by Wilkie Collins?
I have not.
Okay, it's long. I'm still not going to spoil it in case anybody ever wants to read it. But it was published in 1868, and it's about a diamond has been stolen from Rachel Verdineer on her 18th birthday. And it is kind of like who stole it. It does end with a murder. It's pretty bloodless, but it does end with a murder. And then also Arabian Nights. There's a story called Three Apples, where the caliph finds a woman cut into pieces. This is Arabian Nights, not the kids' version, but the
Action
version, right? Yeah, and he tells Jafar. Is Jafar a character in
The Disney?
the Disney Aladdin? Okay,
Yes.
okay, that's what I thought.
The bad guy.
He is the bad guy. Okay. Well, in Three Apples, Jafar is his vizier, and he's supposed to either find the murderer in 3 days or he gets executed. And so he finds the man that killed his wife. But the man says he was tricked by a slave who used an apple as proof, but that wasn't good enough for the caliph. And so Jafar is going to be executed anyway. But then at the last minute, Jafar's daughter pulls out a similar apple that she got from their slave, Banyan or something like that. So anyway, early folk tales and myths, they're mystery elements. But talk a little bit about like how you decided like what you were going to do.
So I did, when I first started making the list, I did find it hard because there's spy thrillers and legal thrillers and all these different kinds of thrillers. So I decided to just kind of go with the ones I remember kind of blowing my mind. So I guess I leaned more into almost like psychological thriller and the mystery thriller more than anything else. But we'll see a wide variety in my picked.
Okay, me too. Well, let's get into it. So I'm excited to find out if we have any crossover. I feel like there's one book that we may cross over on, but we'll see. All right. We may have already said this, but you are going in order of what?
Sort of copyright, but I believe it's also in the order I read them. If that makes sense. You're going to see that it's sort of in the order.
All right. So your first book is?
My first book was published in 1973.
Okay.
But I know that I did not read it then. I read it more like 87.
Okay.
Probably.
How do you know that?
Because I was in junior high. It was like, it led to all the other thrillers. I think this was kind of the first one found on the library shelves, I'm sure, or bought for me. I don't know. But
okay.
It's 1973, Lois Duncan, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
No. Okay. Have you seen the movie?
I have not, because I do not like scary movies, but I did double check, and the movie and the book are different in small ways.
Okay. Tell me about the book.
So the book is, you've got the four friends, something horrible has happened the summer before, they're holding on to a secret, and they suddenly start getting messages. I know what you did last summer, finding objects left, getting stalked, shadowy figures, all of that. But the book, because I did do research, the book stays more psychological, looking at, the guilt that they have and how the secrets are breaking up their friendship. And then also you got a person standing outside their windows and stuff, but it's not gory at all. Everyone survives.
Okay, well, no, that's probably good, right?
Yeah.
Because if you want gore, then you're probably, and you thought that the book would be like the movie. It's not.
It's not. No, they've embellished, as movies sometimes
Is there a
like to do.
reckoning for the characters in the book? I mean, the movie has an ultimate reckoning.
You do find out who it is.
Okay.
And everything ties in a bow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess you would not like the movies then, but Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., and they just had a new one on Netflix, which I actually really liked as well, just for the nostalgia aspect.
Maybe I'll watch them. I just really don't like jump scares.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's probably some of that. And so books can't jump scare you as much, or they do, but it's not as scary.
Yeah. And has she written a lot of things?
She did. She was kind of the queen of the YA kind of thriller, supernatural genre. She's got Stranger with My Face, Don't Look Behind You, Gallows Hill, Killing Mr. Griffith?
Oh, that's a movie too.
Oh, I did not know that. And then she also, tragically, her daughter was murdered and the crime was never solved. And she actually has written a book, a nonfiction, which was Who Killed My Daughter?
The author.
The author, correct, yes. Yes.
Oh,
So
that is so sad.
Wrote these books and then also has had, her own tragedy in her life.
Okay. Would an adult enjoy kind of what you did last summer?
I think so.
Yeah.
It would be a very quick read because it's probably all of 150 pages.
Okay. All right. You surprised me with your first pick. So what I have learned about myself is I didn't really start reading thrillers until like the late 90s. And even when I started reading them, it didn't make up a huge percentage of what I read. So I have more than one book on this list, and I read them because they were Oprah book picks. So Oprah brought me to this book. The name of it is Midwives. Have you read Midwives?
I have not, but I am familiar with the author.
Okay, yeah. So let's see if I can say this right. It's Chris Bohjalian. I read it in 1999. He published it in 1997. And I liked it for a couple of different reasons. So it's about midwife Sybil Danforth, and she does an emergency C-section on a woman that she believed was dead, but then she is prosecuted for murdering the woman because the prosecutor or the state of Vermont alleges that she was still alive. So it's a trial, and I like trial books when they're done well, when the pacing is good. So I liked this. It was narrated by her daughter, Connie, a 14-year-old daughter, as a teenager. I can't remember if she is like looking back on it or at the time, but I just like that perspective. I liked the trial, as I said. I like learning about midwives. I would never want to have a home birth, but I know a lot of people do. And obviously this is the worst case scenario. If there's a snowstorm, I think they can't get, it's Vermont, which I also like because there's snow, right? It's not 98 degrees in October. So that's why they couldn't get to her. That's why the C-section happened. There was a twist that I found pretty shocking, but it was also kind of more like a literary thriller, I guess, or literary legal thriller. And this is one of the ones I had to Google. Is this a thriller? That was my first one. What's your second one?
So my second one, it's another one from middle school times. Just a little backstory is that I was a voracious reader and also a fast reader. So I Know What You Did Last Summer, Sweet Valley High, all those kind of YA books at the time were maybe 150 pages. I was finishing them in like 30 minutes. So my mother finally was tired of purchasing books or having to go back to the library every 3 days. So she started handing me kind of more grown-up books. And so this book also from the 70s, but I read it in 87, 86, around that same time. This one is 1975, Where Are the Children? Mary Higgins Clark.
Okay, I feel like I've read that, and I know I've read a lot of Mary Higgins Clark, particularly in middle school and maybe like late teens. And maybe this was a movie? Okay, what's it about? I mean, I know it's about the children.
So it's the main character, it's her birthday. She sends her two young children out to play and they disappear, which is tragic in and of itself, except that we find out that this exact scenario happened to her before, and her two other children that she'd had also disappeared. So this is in the future. She has, I would say, like cut her hair, moved, remarried, and has two new children.
I'm sorry, how many children are lost? Two. Okay.
So the book starts, birthday, let them out in the yard, they disappear.
Okay.
And at first, this is terrible. This is awful.
That's your worst nightmare, right?
Yeah. And then, of course, oh, but wait, you actually had this exact scenario happen to you 10 years ago, or, whatever. I can't remember how much. I think it was about 10 years when your first two children also disappeared. And so, of course, they're looking at her and who done it and how is this? And she's chasing down leads and trying to prove her innocence and twists and turns and all the things of the formula of thriller.
That are good,
And
yeah.
I don't want to.
Don't spoil it. Don't want to know. And she's no longer alive, right? Mary Higgins Clark?
She is not. I believe the daughter ghost writes or was an author in her own right. I think the daughter did more mysteries, and then the daughter-in-law also did them. So I feel like there's two others.
So like a prerequisite for marrying into the family, like you have to be a writer because you're going to ghostwrite my stuff.
In researching a little bit on this to make sure I had my information correct, I did see there is a sequel that I didn't realize there was, and I think that must be ghostwritten because I want to say it just came out a couple of years ago.
Okay. And so don't say the name title because we don't know what happened to the children, right?
Yeah. Where are they? Where are the children?
Okay. Good to know. I know I've read a lot by her. I just cannot remember the names of particular titles right now. She was on the bestseller list, and they were all mysteries, right?
Well, I believe she switched over more to almost like the cozy mystery, a little more lighthearted by the end. But her first one's like Stuff for the Children. Where are the children?
A lot of stuff about the children there.
The children, and they were a couple of medical thrillers, and they were kind of scary and spooky. And I feel like by the end she wrote about the couple that won the lottery and they were always solving mysteries. And so I feel like she got
cozier as life went on.
She got cozier, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, my next one is also an Oprah book pick, but it's possible that people listening to this are of an era where it'd be new to them. Did you ever read The Pilot's Wife by Anita Shreve?
I did.
Okay. So did you know that it's part of a trilogy?
I didn't.
Okay, I didn't either until I started doing research. But it's 3 books, but they're all set in the same house. So it's like one in the 1800s, one in the early 1800s, one in the early 1900s, and then this. So Catherine is the protagonist, and she finds out, she gets a knock at the door in the middle of the night and finds out that her husband is dead. He's a pilot, and his plane has exploded. He was on the Boston-London run for his pilot run. They also have a 15-year-old daughter named Maddie. It was set in New Hampshire. So I was not married when I read this book, but I do think it's just interesting, right? Like, do you really know your partner? Because the whole thing is like the mystery of what happened to that plane and what happened to him and who he really was as compared to who she thought he was and what it means to have a good marriage. It takes place in Ireland as well, so it's kind of fun for that locale. I liked Midwives because I learned a lot about that. This, you learn like what happens after a plane crash, the investigation, how that works, and how the union gets involved and all that. I mean, not something you'd ever want to know about in real life, but in fiction, right? Which is what I like about thrillers in general, right? Like it's the idea, hopefully, is that it does never happen to you. Some people knock this book because she was slower to figure things out than the reader is, but I kind of like that when you know something that the narrator doesn't, and you're just like, come on. I was like, come on, dummy, get it.
Yeah.
But I did really like those. And then I looked at my reading list. I read a ton by her after this. And I can't tell you the plot of any other one that I've read, but it's been so long. This is like 22 years ago.
But you never read the other two?
I never, I remember liking The Weight of Water, but I can't tell you what that was about. I Googled her because I was like, what has she written lately? And then she passed away in 2018 at 71. So she is no longer writing, but she has quite a back catalog to look at.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. So what's your next one?
So it feels like we have a big jump in copyright dates, but we don't have a huge jump in how old I was. So now we're getting into like high school, college reading.
Okay.
And the more I look at my list, I realize almost everything I think I picked might be a movie, but I swear I read it before.
Well, it sounds like you're not watching the movies for these.
I'm not, but I do think I saw this movie.
Okay.
Because I think everyone did.
Oh, I cannot wait to know what it is.
1995. Early James Patterson.
I don't know. What is it?
The Girl.
Kiss the Girls. I did see that movie.
But did you read the book?
Well, I didn't read the book, but I loved the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, Ashley Judd and Morgan Freeman.
Correct. So I think a lot of people may have seen the movies, but you've got two killers working. You have an East Coast killer and a West Coast. You got Gentleman Caller and you've got Casanova. You've got a detective, Alex Cross. I believe this is the second. So I think Along Came the Spider was the first.
I'm going to go back and read this book because I did really like the movie.
Yeah. So I think this is Alex Cross number 2.
Okay.
And I believe Along Came the Spider was the first one. But this one stuck with me more. For whatever reason, when I was making this list, I was going back and thinking, But you've got the detective and his niece is missing, and you find out she is with Casanova and one of the killers and kidnappers, and then it's a police thriller and it's a legal it's all the thrillers together, and it's a race for time and can we find them and all the things, and a little bit of love and a little bit of, you saw the movie, but
Yeah.
I think they're very similar. I kind of Googled that one too, knowing that it had been like a hit movie. And it seems like it stuck fairly close. I think they took one character from the book out of the movie.
Okay.
I don't know that it was that big of it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can see why this made your list.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, you said you read it in.
So it came out in 1995, and I
Uh-huh.
probably read it in 1995. So I would have been college-y at
Okay.
that point.
Okay, great pick. Okay, so this is the last of my Oprahs. While I Was Gone by Sue Miller. So it was published in 1999, and I read it in 2004. This is about Jo Becker. She's a veterinarian, and she's happily married to a minister. She has 3 grown daughters, and a professor brings her dog in to be cared for by Jo, and Jo learns that this professor is married to a guy named Eli that she lived with in the summer of 1968. So in the summer of 1968, she was fleeing another marriage. I don't think it's the guy she ended up with. And she changed her name, and she lived in Cambridge for the summer with this house of people. And one of the roommates was murdered at that time. And so this is kind of looking back on what happened. So I was gobsmacked by the ending. That was another reason I like it. And I remember it. I remember like the feeling of being gobsmacked, which is I think why I picked it for this list. It's like 3.75 on Goodreads. People who didn't like it found it kind of anticlimactic, slow. They found the ending abrupt. They found Jo unlikable. But I mean, who is likable all the time when they're in their 20s, right? So I don't know if they're talking about Jo now or Jo then, but I did like it. And it's one that I knew I was going to include on this list. There's some books out and you read and you remember the feeling after you read it. Like you can't necessarily remember the whole plot, but you remember, your feeling after. This is one of those for me.
And that's kind of how I chose mine too. Like,
Yeah.
I just laid on the couch, like, let them come to me. And I was like, oh, these are good. I mean, there's a ton of good thrillers.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them. Okay. If I tell you, when I read this book, my mind was blown. I just remember like having to deep dive into searching and finding out more and more about it. But it is 2003, Dan Brown.
Oh, the Da Vinci Code? That's another one where I don't know if I read it, but I definitely saw the movie.
Obviously, I should be that person that reads books and then says, this should be a screenplay.
Yeah.
Because I keep picking
Because you liked it before it was a movie. Okay.
Well before.
Okay.
So, I mean, what can I say? You've got murder. You've got a quest across Europe. You've got clues in artwork, traveling through the museums. You've got secret societies. You have being double crossed by who you thought was your friend. You have romance. You have all the parts. How can you not love this book? But I had to really research because I was like, this sounds made up. And then I Google and I was like, oh no, they really do have Knights Templar. Yes, some of it obviously, and I don't want to get into some of the.
I love clues in artwork. I like the whole like secret society thing.
All of it. And I know he took many liberties.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of Catholics were like not a fan.
That's what I'm saying. I just want to take it for what it was.
Sure.
Which was a wild ride.
Yeah.
Kept me reading.
And there were
awake.
sequels too,
And
right?
there were prequel and sequel. I believe. I think it's Da Vinci Code, and then Angels and Demons, I think, was prequel, and then there's a sequel. And I really stopped at Da Vinci. I never read any of the others.
Okay. So my next one is not an Oprah pick. It's my first one. And it was in 2004. It was published. And the name of the book is Case Histories by Kate Atkinson. Have you ever read this?
I know the
Behind the Scenes at the Museum, I think, was her first book that won a prize.
Okay.
So this is the start of a series about Detective Jackson Brody.
Okay.
But even though I really enjoyed this book, I never have read any other one in the series. But he is the detective. And here's why I liked it. So it's not one mystery, it's 3 mysteries. So there's 3 different cases. And case 1 is a 1973-year-old Olivia disappears from her backyard, and her sisters have hired Jackson to find out what happened to her. Case number 2 is a man named Theo hires Brody to solve the 1994 murder of his daughter, who was killed on her first day of work at a law firm by a knife-wielding maniac. And the third case is a missing person. Michelle killed her husband by axe in 1979 and was convicted, but she's since gotten out of prison. And so Michelle's sister hires Brody to find out where she is now and to also find out where Michelle's daughter is, who would have been the niece of the woman who hires him. So why I liked this, I'm like, how is she going to land the plane, right? Like there's a lot, but they all end up tying together in interesting ways.
Okay, I do like that.
It's on the longer side, but not like too long. I would recommend this book.
What was the copyright?
I think I said 2004.
Okay, so this is the one.
Okay.
I think this is the one.
Is this where we're going to come together?
If it's not, I'll be shocked. If not this book, it's the author.
Okay.
2012, Gillian Flynn.
Okay. I have to tell you, she's not on my list.
God.
I did read Gone Girl. I don't remember seeing it in my journal, and I would have probably included it had I realized it, but it's not on my list.
Kicked off the whole unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
The like twists of twists.
Yeah.
You know, and the slam the book shut, scream.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people do know what it's about, but can you say?
Okay. There's a marriage, Amy and Nick, and it's starting to unravel, but on their 5th wedding anniversary, she disappears. Who is always the suspect? The husband. So he's being investigated as the suspect. There is that formula you talk about. This is the book I feel like that wrote that formula, though I guess thrillers have been around forever, but you're reading along, you think you know what you're doing, and then part 1 ends and you literally are gasping. So there's twists, there's turns, it's told multiple viewpoints. So it's Nick, Amy, it's all of them telling their part. That's where you get that unreliable narrator thrown in there.
Did you see the movie too?
Well, yeah.
Okay, but I did like the book better.
Yes, the book is better. She has sharp object. I mean, she has so. This is the grandmother or the mama of everything that's been published since in the thriller genre, especially psychological thriller. They're trying to follow this,
and sometimes unsuccessfully, right? I do remember.
Mind blown.
This probably should have been on my list. I'll say that. My next book is one that I feel like you're going to have something by this author. Okay. So this was my first pick from Book of the Month, and I didn't know anything about the author. I started to just read everything by this author, and then also just read more of like what I consider like popcorn thriller, just like, you know, well written, but not literary. I mean, just for the fun of it.
Yes.
And this is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager in 2018.
I do not have on my list for that. I don't.
Okay. You know your theory about Taylor Jenkins Reid, the first one is your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not true for me for her, but it was true. This is the first one I read by him.
Okay.
So I was just like, what? You know, it's like, okay, so Emma Davis returns to summer camp where her friends disappeared decades ago. The camp is named Camp Nightingale. Ooh, and she's a painting instructor at the camp. And so 15 years ago, Vivian, Natalie, and Allison, her friends, all disappeared. And she, at the time, I don't think I'm spoiling anything because I think this is in the book jacket. At the time, she accused the son of the camp director, his name is Theo, of that. So that kind of ruined his life. There's secrets, improbable plot twists. But in this instance, there was nothing. I was willing to go along with all of it, right? Like I was like, I'm here for all of it. I'm primed to already think that Sleepaway Summer Camp is scary from Friday the 13th movies. I never did a Sleepaway Summer Camp, right?
Correct.
So I liked that. And I like Mean Girls. I mean, I don't like Mean Girls, but I like stories about mean girls and female friendships. I was fascinated by, this was a male writer. And so I was like, because he writes a lot about women.
Right. Because I think my first was Final Girls. And then I read this.
It kind of kicked me off like, I'm just going to start reading these for fun.
Yes.
And the rest of them, I've just gone on a tear.
And I will say I definitely considered that one and Final Girl, that one. But I think I almost held off because I feel like we might do a whole podcast.
Yes, on this author. Yes,
do an author study at some point because I do feel like that's one of the things that has bonded us as readers.
As absolutely.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm in my right.
Okay,
wrote these out of order. Okay, 2016. Jane Harper is the author.
Okay,
The Dry.
This is on my TBR. I have not read this. I know you don't watch as much TV as I do, but there was another. All right.
Are you telling me there's a movie for this one?
Maybe, but another one of her books was made into a limited series that I really liked.
So The Dry, you've been talking a lot about setting and atmosphere and snow and all of that. And so I feel like what it was almost like another character in the book was the setting here, the atmosphere of Australia, outback, drought, affecting heat. The characters are being affected by all of that, as well then as this character returning home for the funeral of a friend. And that friend just happens to have been his alibi for a crime he was accused of committing. So crime happens. The two boys, I was with him. The guy says, yes, he was. This guy, I can't think of his name. Did I write his name down? Oh, Aaron Falk. He left, moved away. I'm out of here because y'all accused me of a crime. And now he's back because the friend who was his alibi has committed suicide, but maybe it's murder. And then the same thing. We know that he wasn't your alibi. We know you weren't with him. So now he's got, do I clear my name? What happened to this guy? Was it suicide? Was it murder? Why did he die? I just remember loving this one so much. Not only was it the storyline, but it was that, just listening to you talk about a couple things, I'm like, I'm about to get to the atmospheric, where that plays so much into the book is just the setting alone.
My next one is the only one that I feel like we may come together on. And this is 2019. Do you have anything for 2019?
Oh.
Okay, well, then we don't. Okay, so this got a ton of acclaim, but I feel like it deserves every bit of it. And it's The Silent Patient.
Oh, yes. I thought about it.
Yeah, by Alex Michaelides. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Honorable mention for sure.
Honorable mention for sure. So I'm not going to talk too much about it because if you haven't read it, you absolutely should. But it's about psychotherapist Theo Faber, and he wants to find out why Alicia Berenson, who was a famous painter, killed her husband. She shot him 5 times, and then she never spoke another word after that. So he is trying to get to the bottom of that. I feel like a through line for me now I've talked about these is art, like tortured artists.
Oh.
Like I'm going to get to some more of those. That's something I apparently like without knowing it. I also like this. I don't like mental asylums, but I like books about mental asylums, tortured artists. I'm not going to say more because you should read this and I don't want to spoil any aspect of it. I liked The Maidens by him too. Did you read The Maidens?
I've read everything, and I like that he's one of those that pops other characters from before. You have to really be paying attention, but you're going to find...
I was about to say that. Yeah, so Thea shows up in The Maidens. Did you read The Fury? Because I heard that did not get great reviews. How did you feel about The Furies?
I mean, Silent Patient sits at the top,
right?
And all the rest kind of go below it.
What's your next one?
So my next one... Much like Alex Cross with Kiss the Girls, I definitely have been known to read the thrillers that are in a series with a common detective. John Sanford writes the Prey novels. Anyway, so this author has several books, multiple series, different detectives, all the things, but I went ahead and picked one.
Okay.
2020, Lisa Gardner.
Okay.
When You See Me. It is number 12 in her D.D. Warren series, and it's also number 9 in FBI Agent Quincy. So it is a crossover book as well. And this one we have a serial kidnapper.
Okay.
Has passed away.
Okay.
But there are some breadcrumbs left in some information they find out about him. They're following the clues that he left even in death. They've had to bring in one of his victims who knows him very well to help them put together some of these pieces. And they end up, so they bring in a victim. They're in a weird town with weird things happening. You've got you got a detective and the FBI profiler, and they're just trying to solve this mystery, even though the bad guy's dead.
Is it gruesome?
Yeah.
So you can read gore.
I can read gore. I don't want to watch it. So she's not as gory as I feel like a Karen Slaughter is.
Okay.
Who's also, again, another one.
Pretty Girls. Did you read Pretty Girls? I'll never recover from that.
Yeah. So back it up a little bit. It's
okay.
Still in that kind of detective crime thriller area. But yeah, it's pretty dark.
Okay.
But I just had to pick one, so I picked that one. Okay. But I've read multiple of her, to the point that I sometimes start reading one and go, oh, I've already read.
Yeah.
Because I like her. She's always a pick off the shelf.
Yeah. Comforting might not be the right word, but like you kind of know what you're going to get.
Correct. And sure thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My next one is 2022. And this author is a recent favorite of mine. I've read, she may have more than 3, but I've read all her 3. And it's All the Lies We Tell by Julie Clark. Are you familiar? She read The Last Flight and The Ghostwriter.
Ghostwriter I've read. I like.
Did you like that?
Yes,
That's actually my 3rd favorite. This is my first favorite. It's about Meg Williams. She's a con artist. And Kat Roberts, who is the journalist who is trying to expose her. There's a politician who had done Meg's dad wrong years ago, and she is determined to bring him down. And Kat has been collateral damage in the past with Meg's schemes. So Kat is primed not to like Meg because she feels like Meg kind of ruined her life.
Okay.
So they start out as adversaries. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a satisfying ending. I like this because nobody got murdered, right? You can have a thriller and not have it be like a serial killer.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
She got the idea from a true crime podcast called Who the Hell is Hamish? He was a surfer and con artist from Australia. And her thought was that women would be a better con artist because people are more primed to trust women.
Okay.
She's really good at pacing and plotting. And as I said, like a thriller doesn't need to be a murder for me to really enjoy it.
All right. So next up for me, every year at Christmas, for the people that I still give gifts to, I try to give my favorite book of the year as a gift. And this was 2021's favorite. It's Delta County by J.L. Hyde. I'm almost positive it's on the edge of being a self-published book.
I love that it made your top 10. What's it about? Because I've never heard of it.
Another return home after there was a tragedy. She's come home for her class reunion. The high school boyfriend, now the husband, they come back home. But there was a tragic event that she kind of is fleeing from, but decides to come back for the reunion. And then at the reunion, there's another horrible event. And when people start, cops start looking into it, everything, the 10 years ago tragedy starts weaving into the story.
And I'm sorry, where did you say it was set? You said, because you said Delta County, right?
Yeah, so it's Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, and you like that part of the country.
I do like that part of the country too.
Okay.
So you've got secrets, lies, high school reunion, coming back, all the things. It gets dark and disturbing real fast. So I probably shouldn't have given it as a Christmas gift, but I really liked it.
Did the people that you gave it to like it? Did you get good feedback?
Yes, but they were like, whoa. Whoa. It's one of those, whoa, the ending. Oh my God, the ending. I can't believe the ending.
And I'm sorry. Oh, that makes me want to read it. And then what did you say it was on the gore scale, or did you give that?
It's not too bad.
Okay.
Until it is.
I feel like that's a good for the book jacket. It's not too bad until it is.
But the thing about her is, and that we just talked about that I liked, is she also has a book called Summer of '99, which is Summer Can't Murder, all the things that you seem to like.
Yes.
And I like that one. And so Summer of '99 and Delta County, the characters meet up and come together in midnight in Delta County. And there's the crossover event between these two.
I'm sorry, did you say the author was male or female?
I think it's a woman. It's J.L. Hyde.
Oh, J.L. Okay.
I believe it's a woman, and
okay.
I think it's self-published.
Okay, all of these. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe has been picked up, but a couple years ago, 4 years ago or so.
Okay.
It was, you can get it on Amazon, but it's
good to know. All right, well, that's 3 I'm going to add. Okay, so the next one is 2024. This is a book I think I recommended to you. I don't know if you ever read it, but it's First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston.
You did recommend it, and I did read it, but it's not on there.
Okay, so this was a Reese pick, not why I picked it, but just, and this is another, had an endorsement. Evie Porter, not her real name, works for Mr. Smith, and she's a con artist too. So maybe that's another theme I like. But Mr. Smith uses her to get info, to take objects, steal things. So her mark this time is a guy named Ryan Sumner. So she is infiltrating Ryan's life. Oh, this is also set in Louisiana, which I like the southern setting.
Yeah.
So they're at a Kentucky Derby watch party, and somebody shows up who knows Evie's real name. So that freaks Evie out. I like this because like nobody is who they seem. A lot of unreliability in the characters. She has a new book coming out in January, I think, called Anatomy of an Alibi. So I feel like her career is kind of taking off, and that book kind of launched her. So I will look forward to reading her new one.
I did like that one. You did. I
Yeah.
like that one.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm also in 2024. I figured I should do one from now or this year, maybe.
Okay.
And so this is, how do you say her name? Sherry. Oh, I would say La Pena, but I think she's British, so it's La Pena. So this is 2024. What have you done?
Okay. Ooh, what have you done?
We've got small town. Nothing bad ever happens here, and then a girl is found naked, dead in the cornfield. So of course the innocence is lost. It had multiple narrators, and one of them is the victim herself. So it gave that very Lovely Bones kind of.
Oh, I do kind of like that. It's sad though.
Yes, but it also puts it on the edge of that, like supernatural, or sometimes you talk about like having to suspend.
Yeah, my next one has supernatural elements.
Yeah, I read it in a day. That's how good it was. I sat down and I got back up a couple hours later and I had read the book. It's got multiple suspects. You never quite know who's coming. Twists, turns, all the things. It was very good. Very good.
All of these books, have you read the physical copies? Did you do any of these do you do books on audio?
The only audio books I can do are autobiographies.
Okay.
And really cozy mysteries that I don't have to think too hard about. But I think everything else I zone out enough that I would miss.
Okay. So you're a physical reader.
Everything's been physical.
Okay. Have you read other books by this author?
Yes.
Okay. So this is your favorite of them.
This was just, I felt like I should have a book from like recent, because I went all the way back to the 70s.
Got it. You did go all the way back to the 70s. Okay. My next book is a book that I sent you. Hidden Pictures from 2022 by Jason Rekulak. And yeah, well, I had to Google that too. So, this book is about Mallory Quinn. She's a recovering drug addict, and she takes a job as a nanny for the Maxwell family, and their son Teddy is disturbed, and he gets more disturbed as the story goes on, and his drawings reflect that. Then eventually his drawings also don't look like the drawings of a 5-year-old anymore. The drawings are in the book. So I don't know what this would be like as an audiobook, but I loved the hard copy or the physical copy to see the pictures. So Molly is trying to get to the bottom, and increasingly no one is believing her. There's a landscaper named Adrian who is kind of the love interest. I just really liked it. I liked the supernatural, but not over the top. I loved the drawings. This is when I talk about trauma-inspired art. Apparently that's my jam. And there was a controversy in this, but I'm not going to say what it is because it really that literally would tell the plot twist. But there were people who didn't like this because of the resolution. And I'm not even going to say what that is.
Correct.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed it. And for some reason, I thought it was his debut, but I guess it's just his most recent. So he does have others.
There's one about a wedding that I think it comes after this. And I really liked that too. It is probably another favorite of mine for the year. Gosh, I wish I'd written it down, but it has one of the most annoying characters that's ever been written in a book. And yet I still liked it. Yeah.
Still liked it.
Annoying child. It's got the most annoying child that you've ever read, but then she kind of redeems herself. But anyway, that was okay.
Okay.
What's your next one?
So this is my last one, I believe.
Oh, how did I?
Right? Did I not do 10?
Did you do 9? Or did I do 11?
I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right. Well, then I will end with this one. But then I want to talk about a favorite author.
You just keep talking.
Okay. Do your last one.
So this one is not in order, but this was the last one I wanted to do because this is my all-time favorite, #1 recommend. If you ask me for a book, I'm going on an airplane, I need a sure thing, I'm going to tell you this book. Now, the author has a ton of books, but I'm going to tell you this one.
Okay.
And it is 2001.
I cannot wait.
Harlan Coben.
Oh, no. Okay.
Tell No One.
Oh, okay.
Like, this is early. Like, he had written this whole series. He has a really good thriller / mystery series with like a sportscaster, and he had this whole series, but this was, I think, standalone #1 or 2.
Tell me what it's about.
So I apparently like books where something happens on your birthday or anniversary, because on this one, they're on their anniversary, wife is attacked, murdered, all the things. And the 8th anniversary of that, so 8 years after her death, the killer, and remember, she's dead, and to the point that the killer was convicted and like sent away for it, he receives a message on his computer with a phrase that they said to each other that only she would know.
Ooh.
And he is told to tell no one. And he doesn't. And he goes off on his own to try to figure out, is she alive? What really happened? He's running away from people he trusts because he can't trust them anymore. I mean, he is on the run, and it is nonstop thrills all the way.
Okay.
So good. So this is like one of my always recommend.
Random question. Is he American? The reason I asked
from
this,
Jersey.
the reason I asked this is because he has Netflix has adapted a lot of his stuff, and they're all British people.
Or French.
French.
No one is French.
Okay.
I haven't watched it.
I'm not going to watch it now because I'm going to read the book, but I'm interested in the fact that that England has taken it on for their
Yes, and
series.
It's the response to the made for TV movies or episodic are vary.
Yeah.
The books are always bang up good job, but I've heard people not like the interpretation, and I think one of it is because like Tell No One is French translated then back to US, which means things don't match it.
Yeah.
Okay. I just watched the one about the pilot, the helicopter pilot. That one actually is good, but that's the British.
Yeah. I don't mind if they're British. I was just like, I thought he was British. And so I
he's
was
from
like,
New Jersey.
okay.
He's from New Jersey.
Okay.
And he's the one with a book with Reese Witherspoon.
yes. Okay.
So that's Harlan, but that is, I swear that's my 10th.
Okay. Well, let me do my 10th. And then I just want to talk about an author that's kind of like a comfort read for me.
Okay.
My last one is 2023, S.A. Cosby, All the Sinners Bleed. Are you familiar? Okay. So it's a Southern Gothic book. He's a Black author. My book club has picked his first book, Razorblade Tears, for our next read.
Oh,
Are you familiar with this? How was
look, I crossed it off, but it was originally on my list, but
okay. So
I loved that.
okay. Well, this one, so Titus Brown is the first Black sheriff of Sharon County, Virginia. And Sharon has a very complicated racial history. I don't think I'm spoiling anything. There's a school shooting where a former Black student kills a white teacher. And then that former student is shot by deputies. Then we find out pretty quick that the teacher is not who he seems. And then we start to get into a whole serial killer thing. So Titus has got to figure out who the killer is, and also kind of keep the racial temperature down in a divided community that's losing tourism as the horror continues to unfold. Yeah. Well, the pacing is great, but also dealing with like important issues without being like preachy about it. So I would recommend this.
Was that before? I missed it at the beginning. It was before Razorblade or Razorblade Tears?
Razorblade Tears was his first. This is his second, and there's one that just came out. So I recommend this.
It was on there, and then it was one of those on the border. I was like, I don't know if that one's necessarily thriller, Razorblade Tears, but God, I love that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a favorite author of thriller? Like, there's just somebody that's your go-to that's a comfort?
Well, like Lisa Gardner, and definitely, I think John Sanford would be considered thrillers. They're police officers and all of that. So I really like John Sanford, and I really like Lisa Gardner. And then, I don't know, so we went back. Legal thrillers, which you seem to like. Are you going to say Grisham?
No. So this is one, I just want to give a call out. Do you ever read anything by Megan Miranda?
Yes.
Okay, so she is my jam for a comfort. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that any of her books like are my all-time favorite, but I like all of her books.
Yes.
But my favorite is The Perfect Stranger from 2017. I just listened to it. So journalist Leah Stevens moves to a small town to live with a roommate that she used to know named Emmy Gray. There's a body found, and then Emmy disappears. And so it's unclear whether Emmy is the victim or the perpetrator. And Leah has a bunch of issues in her background as well. And can she get to the bottom of it? She's a little bit of an unreliable narrator. But Megan Miranda is like my sweet spot for thrillers because you always know what you're going to get, right? It's a woman in her 20s or 30s. Maybe they're getting older as she does. They're set in North Carolina or Pennsylvania, somewhere in that part of the country. There's nature, mountains. There's murder, but it's never too gruesome. There's always like a boy toy, an unreliable boy toy.
Yeah.
I
feel like Megan Miranda,
Yeah.
the Sherry Penna,
Yeah.
your Lisa Jewell, like all of those are that solid. They're all kind of in my mind as ones that I will just pick up and read because they're good.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. I think we talked about for the end of the year doing
I think we were going to say our favorites.
Yeah. And you wanted to do 5 and not 10, is that right?
We were like, how many books have we actually read? I know that I've read in the 50s, so I probably could pull out 10.
Okay.
But I feel like some years I read some clunkers.
Yeah.
We could talk about that.
What's your recent read? What are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading We Solve Murders, which is by the Thursday Murder Club. author, but
yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell. I'm assuming he's starting a new series with this one, but it was a book of the month that I got a while back and had piled up and decided to read it.
Okay. I'm reading The Wedding People. Have you read
I
that?
have read that one.
I love it so much. I'll have to see if it makes my top of the year, but I love it.
Yep.
I got to return it to the library tomorrow, so I have to finish it.
Finish and get on it.
All right. Well, thank everyone. Thank you for joining us. We got some great feedback from our first one, so we'd love to hear your feedback. And if you have any suggestions for future podcasts, let us know. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Ben.